Little Johnny Tanner opened the ceremony. He stamped heavily up the platform and bowed in such a manner that he almost fell down. He blurted out that it would ill befit him to sit silent while the name of his fair island was being reproached, and he appealed to the gallant soldier before him. If every British battlefield was not sown with the bones of sons of the Emerald Isle, he was also heard to say that he had listened with deepening surprise and scorn to the insinuation of the honourable member from North Glenmorganshire that the loyalty of the Irish regiment in Her Majesty's service could be questioned. To what purpose, then, he asked, had the blood of Irishmen flowed on 100 fields? To what purpose had Irishmen gone to their death with bravery and devotion in every part of the world where the victorious flag of England had been carried? If the honourable member for North Glenmorganshire insisted upon construing a mere pothouse row between soldiers in Dublin into a grand treachery to the colours and to Her Majesty's uniform, and it was time for Ireland to think bitterly of her dead sons, whose graves now marked every step of England's progress, and yet who could have their honours stripped from them so easily by the honourable member for North Glenmorganshire. Furthermore, the honourable member for North Glenmorganshire. It is needless to say that little Johnny Tanner's language made it exceedingly hot for the honourable member for North Glenmorganshire, but Johnny was not angry, he was only in haste. He finished the honourable member for North Glenmorganshire in what might be called a gallop. Susie Timmins then went to the platform and with a face as pale as death whisperingly reiterated that she would be Queen of the May. The child represented there a perfect picture of unnecessary suffering. Her small lips were quite blue and her eyes, opened with wide, stared with a look of horror at nothing. The phlegmatic Trass boy, with his moon face only expressively peasant parentage, calmly spoke some undeniably true words concerning destiny. In his seat, Jimmy Trescott was going half blind with fear of his approaching doom. He wished that the Trass boy would talk forever about destiny. If the schoolhouse had taken fire, he thought that he would have felt simply relief. Anything was better. Death amid the flames were preferably to the recital of Charge the Light Brigade. But the Trass boy finished his remarks about destiny in a very short time. Jimmy heard the teacher call his name, and he felt the whole world look at him. He did not know how he made his way to the stage. Parts of him seemed to be lead. At the same time, parts of him seemed to be light as air. Detached, his face had gone as pale as had been the face of Susie Timmins. He was simply a child in torment. That is all there is to be said specifically about it, and to intelligent people the expedition would have been more edifying than a dogfight. He bowed precariously, choked, made an inarticulate sound, and then suddenly said, "Half a league," said the teacher coolly. "Half a league," said the teacher. "League," repeated Jimmy wildly. Half a league onward." He paused here and looked wretchedly at the teacher. "Half a league," he muttered. "Half a league." He seemed likely to keep continuing this phrase indefinitely, so after a time the teacher said, "Well, go on." "Half a league," responded Jimmy. The teacher had opened the book before her and she read from it. "All in the valley of death rode the..." "Go on," she concluded. Jimmy said, "All in the valley of death rode the... He cast a glance of supreme appeal upon the teacher and breathlessly whispered, "Rode the what?" The young woman flushed with indignation to the roots of her hair. "Rode the 600, she snapped at him. The class was a rustle with delight at this cruel display. They were no better than a Roman populace in Nero's time. Jimmy started off again. "Half a leg, League after league after league onward. In the valley of death rode the 600 forward, forward, forward. The light brigade, suggested the teacher sharply. The light brigade, said Jimmy. He was about to die of the He was about to die of the ignoble pain of his position. As for Tennyson's lines, he had all gone grandly out of his mind, leaving it a witted wall. The teacher's indignation was still rampant. She looked at the miserable wretch before her with an angry stare. You stay in after school and learn that all over again, she commanded, and be prepared to speak it next Friday. I am astonished at you, Jimmy. Go to your seat. If she had suddenly and magically made a spirit of him and left him free to soar high above all the travail of our earthly lives, she could not have overjoyed him more. He fled back to his seat without hearing the low-toned jibes of his schoolmates. He gave no thought to the terrors of the next Friday. The evils of the day had been sufficient, and to a childish mind a week is a great space of time. With the delightful inconsistency of his age, he sat in blissful calm and watched the sufferings of an unfortunate boy named Zimmerman, who was the next victim of education. Jimmy, of course, did not know that on this day there had been laid for him the foundation of a finished incapacity for public speaking, which would be his until he died. December 1899, Harper's Magazine, Volume 100, pp. 258 or 28.